How to create repeatable process in your business. This is actually more challenging and more slippery to the folks I've worked with over the last 6 years because what a lot of folks do when they start to create repeatable process is the ultimate goal is to get them out of the task entirely. And I'm here to tell you that that might be some of the reason why a lot of business owners struggle with this so entirely is because they're making 5 common mistakes that I see owners make, especially service-based businesses that are founder run. Now, if this is you, listen up because it's going to help you accelerate how you get things off of your plate and how you can replicate results across your entire company. So I'm going to tell you a story first. I worked with a company a few years ago who actually had a really reputable founder with a wonderful personal brand. And one of the main ways that they found that they were actually marketing most efficiently in order to close a lot of really incredible clients and strike a lot of great deals in their market was he, the founder, was going out and speaking. And that's a super effective strategy for business growth. It's really wonderful. I love doing workshops. I love doing public speaking. And it's been something that's been a tremendous growth accelerator for us at Operations Agency. And it really depends on me. It depends on me being here in front of this camera, in front of an audience, workshopping, shaking hands, and helping people overcome obstacles, right? My time is very limited. And so what we experienced with this founder was that when we tried to replicate this process, he was thinking that he just needed to build a speaking team. He was like, if I have 5 or 10 people who are able to go out and deliver this workshop on my behalf, we can effectively 5x our strategy on this. And what I told him was, hang on a second. Let's consider something different. So the first thing that we worked on together with this person was not to replace him, but to replace the outcome. And so oftentimes what we do is we say, well, I want to replace me from this process. And oftentimes we cannot effectively replace ourselves. We have built a personal brand. We have industry expertise and knowledge. We have the look, the feel, the personality, the decision-making processes of us. And we can try to distill down in an entirely other episode. I'll break down the art of knowledge transfer. But for the most part, we really can't teach somebody to look, act, think, and feel the way that we do. And so it's an exercise in futility to try to do that. So what I say is replicate the outcome instead. Replicate the outcome of delivering a workshop in a way that actually gives a ton of people in an audience availability to say, hey, I want to do that. I want to work with you. And so what we did first and foremost was move the workshop, the talk itself, off of a public venue and over to a digital venue, right? We can do it here from our house, and we can effectively increase the rate of actual deliverable workshops that we can give in order to close some new business, in order to have folks come into our world and understand what working with us looks like. So that's the first thing we did. We actually replicated the outcome, which was leads and sales, and we just took it into another platform. He was still delivering the talks, at least in the first iteration, and it was really, really exciting because for the most part, they were able to deliver 15, 20 workshops a week instead of just the one. Second thing that we did, we took a look at doing it first. And so a lot of founders miss this. We want to outsource our social media, or we want to outsource our YouTube channel, or we want to outsource sales, or we want to outsource anything in our business. And we don't do it first. And it's really, really challenging to have a really clear understanding around how it's effective, how you would want to approach this, and how it can kind of keep your thumbprint as it gets delegated to somebody else if you don't do it first. So the example of me working with this founder, it was incredibly beneficial that he had gone out, delivered the talk, understood the questions that people were asking, so that when we made a digital experience about this, he was able to pour in really meaningfully into what we should do, what FAQs we should have on the registration page, how we should reach out to people after the fact, what common things they were struggling with after they heard the workshop itself. So it's really helpful to do it first. We cannot create a repeatable system out of something that wasn't done. I always say, and I've said this quite a bit in my content, but hacks and tips and tweaks and things to processes really only help if the car is already in motion, right? We want to make sure that we're building momentum and doing things first, and then use technology, use our team, use other accelerators along the way in the process to make it better. But we first need to get started. So do it first. If you feel like you've got something in the company that needs your attention, I say jump in and do it, and then create a process for it, and then delegate it. So the next is to document. The third big thing that you want to do is you want to document how that works, right? So really get clear on how specifically you are jumping in. and delivering a workshop. Get really clear on what we should expect when people are there, right? What questions are asked, and what are we doing with, the follow-up sequence after the fact. Getting a clear, solid library of documentation in place around the things that we want to develop repeatable processes for are going to be critical, because what we will do is we'll write it out and we'll say, is this the sequence? And then the amazing thing is we can edit it and we can tweak as we go. The fourth amazing thing about creating repeatable process is then finally delegating it. Because when we create a repeatable process that doesn't then rely on us particularly, we can then give it to somebody else or something else. So what we did with this founder was he was delivering these in-person workshops. Then he moved to online and he was delivering them live in a classroom setting. And the third thing we did then was automate this workshop. And we sold it, actually. We would say, hey, listen, this is evergreen. You can watch it whenever, and it's $50 to join. And it's incredible when you can get the process so dialed in that when you've knocked it out of the park. And we took a live training and we made it evergreen and put some traffic behind it. And that ended up being one of the most repeatable lead generating processes for that company since its inception. And it's really, really important to hear me on this, because what we then did was we had 3 layers of lead generating systems in his company. The live version, which he now increased his speaking fees significantly, so he took home more on that. Then we have the live workshops, which were then delivered from people on his team. So it built that authority and generated that community of support so that he didn't have to be so involved in the delivery. And then we created the evergreen function of his workshop so that people from all over the world at any time of the day, whenever it was most convenient for them, could watch the training and take the next step to become a client. So this is the power of repeat process, because you can actually create multiple through lines inside of your business through the process of actually creating a really solid repeatable process. And this is going to help your business so much. The outcome of the repeatable process is nothing compared to the journey of figuring this all out. So the fifth and final thing that I want to make sure we talk about is consistent improvement, because so many businesses create repeatable processes and then they say, this is how we do it, and then they never look at it again. And it might be true that it could probably sustain you. I mean, this workshop process that we built out with this team is incredibly beneficial to their business to this day. However, we still need to have a process in place for how we actually tackle improvements and feedback and making sure that everything is really well done. So what we did was we created a quarterly cadence for them. And we said, okay, let's make sure that our paid traffic, our digital workshops, and our in-person speaking engagements are all producing these 3 levels of leads for us, and that those levels of leads have the same conversion rate through our funnels, right? Because for the most part, what we want to make sure is that these people are educated enough to start to make some buying decisions. If not now, then definitely later, and we'll put them into a follow-up sequence. But this marketing repeatable process on taking folks who are hearing a workshop from you and then potentially becoming paying clients is really important to make sure that we can tweak, right? As you learn new information, as you're delivering the workshops and people are asking you questions in your customer service portal, we want to make sure that we have this down. And we can even look behind the scenes. We can say, okay, of the people who came through our live workshops versus our on-demand, our evergreen workshop, are those people staying on average longer or shorter periods of time in our product or service, right? Are they, really sticking with us for the long haul? Are these people in it for a year or 6 months? And then what we can do is we can tweak it. We can say, all right, if the people who are watching the evergreen version of this workshop are staying net less time than the people who've watched it live, what are we doing live and what can we bring to them live? Or, excuse me, what can we bring to them in the evergreen version that can actually help them stay with us? So creating that feedback loop to consistently tweak and edit everything, it will absolutely be the best way to ensure that your process not only stays effective, but it stays repeatable. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want things to break and then all of a sudden everything starts going back onto the plate of the founder. So if you found this helpful, I would love if you'd hit subscribe below, and you can be notified every time we drop a video like this that you can improve your business operations week over week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.